So I've been trying to figure out a way to talk about this in an elegant way, and in a way that it's less ranty and more understandable. And I think I figured it out. So I've been thinking a lot about the bracket system, right? And the issues with the bracket systems. Uh, it's a cute idea, but I don't think it works. Um, Let me explain why. The bracket systems, one, the bracket system, the list of game changers isn't complete. It needs to be expanded a lot bigger or gotten rid of just in general. Because the way I see it is that all these cards, all these listings doesn't take into account something more important than game changer cards. And that is synergy. You can have all those game changers in a deck and make your deck into this super powerful deck because you have all these game changers in the deck. But the problem is if there's no synergy, you're just gonna let me explain. So I have most of my decks on Moxfield, right? One of the decks that I have there is Greta, Sweet Tooth Scourge, or whatever her name is. And it rates it as a 4. The deck is garbage. The deck is garbage. It's never won. It never will win. I took it apart because it never functioned, but it counted as a 4 because I had Demonic Tutor, Bullet Citadel, and a couple other things in it. So automatically it's like, oh, well, it's a 4 because it has all these powerful cards in it and stuff like that. But the problem is that the deck itself doesn't have the synergy needs in order to function. It has an engine, but no timing belt. It has gas, but no exhaust system. So like that's what I'm saying. It's like you could have like the most powerful engine in a vehicle, but if you don't have the systems that link it all together and make it work, it doesn't matter. And that's the thing that this bracket system doesn't take into account is that the synergies in a deck matter more than having powerful cards. Yes, powerful cards can help out and stuff like that. But if the decks are missing synergy, you can have a 4 that completely just tanks, or you can even have a 2 that is a powerhouse because the synergies are there. And it's misleading because we had an issue the other day. Somebody, one of my friends in my play group that we play on Bell Table, was having an issue. He told somebody that he was playing a 3 on his Lelia deck, and the dude flipped the fuck out when he raced to the finish with his Lelia deck because he's like, "That's not a tree, this and that, and blah blah blah," and it led to this whole huge thing. I can explain later and tell stories later, but that's the problem. It's that this bracket system, it's a cute idea, but it doesn't take into account something more important than powerful cards, and that is the synergy that you have in your deck. Yes, there is a positive though. I'm not trying to be all negative. I will say that there is a positive. I've played a couple games since the bracket system came out, and I will say that it's opened up the discussion a little bit more in regards to like, oh, this is a 3 because it has this and this. So we're people, I guess, are more willing to have that conversation about what makes their deck a 3 or a 4 and stuff like that, comparatively to before, where people weren't, I guess, not willing. They were like, yeah, rule 0 conversation, my deck does this, but not going into the logistics of why that deck was a blank, you know? So that is kind of nice. But I think that conversation is more important than a bracket system. And I think that's something that we should have been doing from the get go, anyways. Because I'm looking at things like Canadian Highlander that has that point system that certain cards are worth certain points and your deck can only be a certain amount of points and stuff like that. I feel like we should be maybe adopting that because then we were having a discussion about why your deck is this point system, and it also limits the amount of cards, but then also at that point, once again, it doesn't take into account synergies, you know. Another reason why it doesn't take into account synergies is my Elsa L core deck is considered a 3, even though that deck has 7 infinites in the deck. I think 7 infinites if I remember right. But they're all 3-card infinites and what higher. But that doesn't make it less combo. The deck is literally just a combo engine. And if I were to take Demonic Tutor out and Bolas Citadel out, one of the combos, because I run Bolas top um, Ether Flux Reservoir in the deck. If I were to take one of those pieces out, it would make it drop it to a 3 or drop it to a 2. I tried it. Trust me, it does. So you know what I mean? So it's just like it doesn't take into account something more important than powerful cards. I think synergy is more important, but the problem is that also like how do we rank synergy? What some people might consider a strong synergy, other people might consider kind of garbage. Like think about like synergies like Stasis and Seedborn Muse. Is a dig synergy to face off against. Sure, I get to play while the rest of you get to sit there and twiddle your fucking thumbs. But am I doing anything but slowing down the deck by itself? If I play those 2 cards and I don't play anything for the rest of the fucking game or do anything with those 2 cards for the rest of the game, all I'm doing is slowing the fucking game to a crawl. That is all I'm doing. I'm not winning the game. I'm being annoying. So, like, once again, it's hard because every synergy is different. So, like, how do we rate synergies then? It doesn't. There's a lot of things to take account in Magic the Gathering, and I think having a bracket system doesn't really fix it. I think that we just as players need to get used to the idea of having that discussion that I had the other day, because I think that discussion was more important than anything else. It gives you more of an insight. Because I was talking, oh, my deck does this and it has these cards in it. Cool. People understood that. So and so told me, my deck does this and has these cards in it. Cool. I know what I'm kind of expecting at this point. So it's a nice starting point, but it doesn't get there.